Welcome, my friends, and thanks for joining me. I'm Lorna Schumann with the Illinois State Museum, and today we're going to talk about the term archaeology and answer the question, what is archaeology and how does it work? So archaeology is really the study of the past people who lived, and that's used by the evidence, the things like this that they would have left behind that help us understand how they actually lived. Now, many people get both archaeology and paleontology mixed up. And it's okay if you do too, because many adults also do. But paleontology is the study of plants and animals that lived in the past through the fossils that we find today. Archaeology is based only on people and their evidence. Now, sometimes you'll find some animals, bones, or pieces inside an archaeological site that tells us a little bit about the food or the tools that they used or that they made things out of. So when archaeologists study a site or find a site, they start to learn about it, and they study using two pieces. Artifacts, those are these small objects like these that I can pick up and handle, and then features. Those are things that are really big, things you can't pick up and move, things like walls, fire pits, earth mounds. Those are too big to pick up and put anywhere. Well, archaeologists base the information and what they understand about cultures based on this evidence and how they put them together. So one of the things to know is that archaeologists also study where things are found, how they're found in relationship to other objects. It helps tell a story. And we'll talk about that in a moment. But really, archaeologists are coming up with a story, or what we call an inference, based on the objects that they found. They're really like detectives, and archaeology is kind of like a mystery when we're talking about people in the far past. You're trying to uncover what happened by the evidence or clues that were left behind. And that's something to think about it. Think about also that the more clues you have, the closer you probably are to what really happened. Think about a mystery. If you had 10 clues, and those 10 clues were in a location, that helps give you more information about what really happened in that site than if there were only 6 items. That's also why it's really important that if you go and visit an archaeological site, not to pick up and move things, because all those pieces together give us more information to help us understand the story or the inference or what happened there better. Now, location is really important too. Just almost as important as the artifact itself, because location where something is found can give you lots of information. Let me give you an idea. How many of you have a sibling? I've got one. I bet even if you don't have a sibling, you've probably heard some people talk about this way. How many of you, your sibling has ever borrowed something of yours? You know, without asking? Yes, you know what I'm talking about. Now let's say that you find that borrowed item, like the sweater that you were planning to wear, stuffed up, rolled up in a little ball under the bed of your sibling. You can then go to the adults around you and say, someone took my sweater and it's X. And they'll probably listen to you and believe you. That's because the location where you found it was important. But let's change that scenario just a bit. Let's say we found that sweater rolled up in the laundry basket in a separate room. It's a little harder to go to the adults and say, my sibling took my sweater, because the location doesn't really tell us that it was there. Now, we may think, based on past experiences with our sibling, that that was the case, but we can't prove it because of the location. Well, in archaeology, it's very important to know where the location is, and how it's found can give archaeologists as much clue. Now, archaeologists actually are scientists. I know that sounds a little strange because we don't think about it. The way an archaeological dig happens isn't like Indiana Jones or any of those other archaeologists that we see on TV. They don't just swoop in, grab items, and walk away. True archaeologists actually lay out a grid, and they divide that grid up where in the area, and they slowly dig, removing the dirt, shaking the dirt out to see if there's any smaller artifacts like these in there, or even smaller, maybe pieces of pottery like this. Those are all important. And then they put that dirt back eventually. But as they go down, they measure how far down they are. They go by layers. They actually measure where they find an object. Like if we found an object here, we would measure how far it was from the edge, how big that object was. We document that. So it's a very precise scientific study when they do that. Because when they get back, they want to put all that information together to help them understand and make those inferences or stories. Well, my friends, I hope you learned a little bit more about archaeology and archaeologists, and I want to thank you for joining me today. Take care.